Yes, you are.
So I know, oh my God, Tech, you gotta chill out that fan, man.
better laws, better legislation, and I also endorse Ace Architect for mayor. It takes to be the mayor of the city of Greenpoint. That's about it for my statement. Next is Osmo.
All right, good evening, everybody. For those who don't know, I'm I Anton Law. I've been in the community for a couple years now, pretty good amount of time. A little bit about me: I was the first DHS director, and that was one of many high command positions I would hold. Not limited, not including, so sorry, not limited to captain in the Port Authority for more than one term, the current GCSO undersheriff, lieutenant colonel for GSP times two, assistant director for Secret Service, captain in Park Police. I served time in the fire department as well. And I also help lead joint special operations. So, as many of my opponents have touched, well, I shouldn't say opponents, I should say upcoming friends in the council, we all have the same goal, and that's to save our streets. There's been a lot of crime, there's been a lot of gang activity, and frankly, departments just don't have the proper tools and funding to get these areas covered.
So,
So, with working with my fellow council people as a team, instead of pointing fingers and having a bunch of argument, we will work to create legislation to not only help keep the criminals off the streets, but to help the departments out because more than that, they're the ones protecting us out there. Our port authority keeping our ports safe, our sheriff's office keeping the county safe, as well as our metropolitan police department and all of our federal departments keeping us protected from areas outside of normal city control. The second thing I will push for is across all departments a look into and maybe some redos of some training policies. From my experience, I've seen a lot of officers out in the streets that frankly just, well, thank you for your time.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. To keep you guys, updated. Anyone joining us now? This is a mayoral debate. I'm Infamous Ja, former GPS's director, and I have the pleasure of being one of your debate moderators tonight. So let's get started with our first question. It will be for all of you. You all mentioned numerous policies that are similar to each other and have similar programs and processes. So what is your main policy initiative, and why is that initiative important to you? Mr. Envy Scar, will you answer first? Oh. All right. My apologies for that. Back to the question. You all have mentioned multiple and numerous policies that are similar to each other and have similar programs and processes. So what is your main policy initiative, and why is that initiative important to you? Mr. Envy Scar, will you answer first?
Hi, I'm Envy Scar. My first initiative is, if you guys all checked my campaign outline, my initiative one is all city operations need to be checked out. They need to be audited. So that's all local departments like the FD, GMPD, all those, they need to be audited because, as most of you know, those departments are slacking. So I'm going to conduct an audit of all city departments to locate areas of improvement, and I want to implement a system where all 2IC plus of local departments, including all the local departments that we have, to ensure that all 2IC are they know what they're doing. They're not just being put in their place, even though they're approved by FPS and all that. We don't know what they actually are. So we're gonna implement a performance system, and if it's mandated, we may rehire some city staff if it's. That is my main initiative as of.
All right, Mr. Ace Architect, will you also take over?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. So, as mayor, I have ideas of not just law enforcement roleplay, because the city of Greenpoint, in my opinion, is very centralized on law enforcement. Everywhere you have multiple law enforcement agencies, we have a few fire departments here and there, and we have barely any civilian roleplays. As mayor, I want to focus on creating more opportunities for civilians to roleplay, to build more, to give more chances to citizens, and to give the civilian team a new refresh. And part of these initiatives include forming a city government with a robust city court and judicial system. I also would like to kickstart the Greenpoint Business Commission, which would be a way for private citizens to register their own companies and allow them to roleplay as those companies to build on the civilian aspect of the game. Because if there is no civilian aspect, law enforcement are unable to do their job properly. I believe both go hand in hand to create a better Greenpoint that will provide many more roleplay opportunities for everyone in the community.
All right, thank you. Mr. Antoine, would you like to proceed?
Yes. So, hello, Antoine. I'll be representing Smokey Laws, and kind of what Ace was saying. One of Smokey's biggest points is more jobs for citizens. That we have all these the police departments you could be a part of, federal departments, fire departments, but there's just not enough work for our citizens in the city. So one of Smoke's big pointers is to allow more opportunities for civilians that not only will help grow business and help grow the aspect of the community, but also help role plays be more refined, which is something I believe we all should kind of take into account. This being maybe Germ's Tacos, for example, or Green Mart, for example. Having an entire place where you can go and actually have shoplifting, have more civilized things for Elio and civilians to bond over besides just the common bank calls and common gang shootings. That is all.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry. And Mr. Raider, finally, would you like to proceed? Mr. Raider, can you hear us? Oh, goodness. All right, thank you, Mr. Raider. Ace, would you would like to rebuttal, correct? You have 20 seconds.
would. Thank you. I'd like to just give a rebuttal to Antoine's response, whereby he said that through creating more civilian role plays, there will be more shoplifting or other special crimes. I just want to highlight that I don't think civilian role play should just be crime. I believe that civilians can have proper, actual civilian, legitimate role plays beyond the scope of crime. And I just want to highlight that that is one of the priorities of the Teammates campaign, which is to ensure that there's more than just criminal roleplays on the civilian team. I would like there to also be more actual legitimate roleplays. Thank you.
All right. Will any other candidate like to rebuttal? If not, we may continue. Oh, Antoine, would you like to rebuttal? You have 30
Yes.
seconds.
So I didn't exactly mean that, but by adding additional tools and resources that will empower the civilians to create their own stories, not the same made up ones that have been used for years. Crime is a wide thing used in Greenpoint, but is also what encourages
All right, that is your time. Moving on to the next question. So, this next question is for all the candidates. With the addition of the city attorney, who represents the city in lawsuits and acts as the city's general counsel, how do you plan to work with the Department of Justice and other departments to ensure the city is legally compliant? Mr. Ace, will you go first?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. So, what I would like to have is for the city government to have a liaison and a partnership with the Department of Justice through the city attorney. So, what I envision is the city government maintaining its own judicial system with the Greenpoint City Court, and the city attorney will have overall administrative oversight of that operation. And I believe that the DOJ is the subject matter expert on all legal and judicial matters within the community. So I think it's very important for us as a government and us as a city to partner with the Department of Justice to implement a range of systems, of proper systems, such as, let's say, public prosecutors, public defenders. We can arrange private lawyers through privately registered individuals. The sky's the limit with what we can do, but we need someone who knows what they're doing, which will be the DOJ. And that's why I think that the city attorney will represent the government to partner with the Department of Justice to administer such matters. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Envy Scar, would you go next?
Can you restate the question, please?
Yes, I can. It says, with the addition of the city attorney who represents the city in lawsuits and acts as the city's general counsel, how do you plan to work with the Department of Justice and other departments to ensure the city is legally compliant?
Okay, so my vision is to hire someone in partnership with DOJ to make, because they're all about legal matters. So we hire someone that gets put inside the position, that knows what they're doing, and we're gonna
All right. Mr. Anton, would you please go next?
Sure thing. So, I will use the city attorney as a guide to make the best policies we can for Greenpoint. After all, that is why we are mainly hiring them for this job.
All right, Mr. Anton, is that all?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Raider, would you go next, please? All right, thank you. Would any candidate like to rebuttal? You have 30 seconds. All right. So there has always been a controversy within the city on whether open carry should be legal or not. What do you believe about open carry? Mr. Antoine, will you answer first?
Sure thing. So personally, I believe that open carry, whether it is reasonable, so such as like long rifles, etc., should be exempt, not part of that. But having a handgun open carry, I believe it's still.
I would also like to
I
give a
believe-
special thanks to our founder. Oh, my bad, interrupting. I'd also like to give a special
Can I
thanks to our
get my
founder.
time restarted.
Deepest apologies.
I'm sorry, sir.
Can you repeat that?
Would you like for me to repeat the question or?
Oh, yeah.
The question is, there has always been a controversy within the city on whether open carry should be legal or not. What do you believe about open carry?
So me personally, and I think Smoke could agree with me as well, with open carry, we've both seen it doing our jobs as law enforcement officers. If it's a handgun, it should be no problem. I believe in that case, the right to bear arms should be imposed. At the same time, when it comes to rifles, shotguns, anything of a bigger caliber, that should not be allowed to have open carry. And most people don't really understand the difference between having
So,
open carry between a handgun and a long
apologies
rifle.
now that
So,
the debate is
having
going
an
on.
education system in place
I'd like to give a
would
special thanks to our
definitely be,
founder, Police Officer 122,
something
setting
that
this
we
up.
could implement as well.
Back to the
And
debate.
kind of touching off that a little bit. The policy for that to that ranges from testing, probably through the sheriff's office, most likely, to not only allow people to have their open carry, but for those who desire to have concealed, they may do so as well.
Thank you for your time. Mr. Reader, would you like to proceed next? All right, Mr. Ritter. Thank you for your time. Mr. Ace Architect, would you like to proceed?
Sorry, I think you missed Envy Scar. I think he has to speak first. Am I mistaken?
What do you mean, sir?
Okay, never mind. So the question will be on the controversy of open carry, and I'd like to say that, in my opinion, the right to bear arms is provided in the Constitution. It's a constitutional right given to all Americans and to all citizens of Greenpoint. That said, I believe that there is a difference between open carrying and criminal harassment. Carrying a rifle or a weapon around, a firearm around, is protected by the Constitution. What is not protected by the Constitution is threatening others with that. There has to be a fine line drawn between the two distinct categories. As the other candidates have previously said, it is important to protect our constitutional rights, and to a certain extent, open carrying is permitted. But the question needs to become, how much is too much? With all of this in mind, I feel that there needs to be a different approach taken towards managing open carrying, so that we can maintain our safe constitutional rights while upholding the peace and defending the time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ace Architect. Would any candidate like to rebuttal? You have 30 seconds. All right, if not, we may continue. Oh, wait, my apologies. Mr. Envy Scar, would you like to proceed?
Yes. So about open carry, I believe that promoting, safety and ensuring community well-being are the key points of this office. But allowing open carry of firearms can create big risk, escalate tensions in the community. But me as mayor, I will prioritize the safety of all the residents and role players of Greenpoint, and I believe that regulations on firearms are essential to maintain a secure environment. By restricting open carry, we can remove all those risks and create a safer community for everyone. I am all for, reasonable gun ownership and concealed carry requirements, but with the support measures that bring, background checks, trainings, safe storage, up to the safety standard that we still uphold to this day. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Would any candidate like to rebuttal? You have 30 seconds. If not, Boy, will you continue?
Okay, so this is directed towards you, Ace. Mr. Ace, you're in Singapore and in the military. How do you plan to manage an emergency? Is it even responsible for you to be running for your position?
Okay, thank you for your question, Mr. Moderator. So, yes, I am in the Singapore military currently. I'm an enlisted soldier. So, the reason why I've decided to run for this position is compared to the previous few years when I was in when I was in a college education, I had to take time off from role playing and such to study for my exams. Now, as I'm in the military, I have quite a lot of free time, which is what made me decide to run for office. If the only quote unquote emergency that I would have to go for is if my country were to go to full on war, which, well, given the current global climate, I make no comments. But the way that I see it, and the reason why I decided to run for this position was because I foresee that for the next at least 1 to 2 years, I have enough free time to be online and to represent the city of Greenpoint and the Greenpoint government as the mayor. I believe I have the ideas and I believe I have what it takes to create and to maintain an effective and formidable first Greenpoint city government. Thank you very much for your question.
Okay, would any other candidates like to rebuttal this? If so, you have 30 seconds. Okay, Shaw, you can continue.
All right. This question is specifically from the founder, which is how they will go about tackling gun violence, departmental corruption, and wrongful shooting deaths by LEO. Mr. Ace Architect, would you go first?
So could I ask for a repeat of the question, please?
How will you go about tackling gun violence, departmental corruption, and wrongful shooting deaths by LEOs?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Moderator. So I will address these situations. I'll address these conditions one by one. First off will be gun violence. What I look to do is to enact stricter gun laws where required, to have greater priority placed on not just not banning, but on responsible use of firearms. Right, and it's through public education that's what's important to reduce the impact that weapons have on in a negative light. On the other hand, for department corruption, I'll have a crackdown on any departmental corruption. My purview as mayor, I oversee the Metro Police and Fire Department. I'll have regular reviews of each department and have frequent meetings with the commissioners of each agency. That way, I'll be able to identify any corruption cases and I'll be able to tackle them as soon as they appear. Lastly, for wrongful shootings by law enforcement, I would have more advanced and proficient trainings for all law enforcement officers to enable them to do their jobs better. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
All right, Mr. MV Scar, would you go next?
Can you restate?
How will you go about tackling gun violence, departmental corruption, and wrongful shooting deaths by law enforcement officers?
Okay, so gun violence. We would address gun violence by enforcing stricter background checks, promoting reasonable gun ownership, and increasing community-based policing efforts. We will work with our local law enforcement to create programs and initiatives to prevent violence and support at-risk individuals, etc. Secondly, to fight departmental corruption, I'll set up an oversight committee, just like the team leadership board, somewhat like that, to investigate complaints and to ensure transparency in our police departments and fire department. This committee will work with internal affairs to conduct regular audits, review practices, and suggest reforms, helping to build integrity and accountability for all departments. To prevent wrongful shooting deaths, any officer that gets involved will be mandated to retake the comprehensive training. They'll need to focus on de-escalation techniques, bias awareness, proper use of force protocols, etc. and create a system for prompt and partial investigations to all users, ensuring that justice is served and lessons are learned to prevent future tragedy.
All right, is that all?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Mr. Raider, would you like to go next? All right. Give me 1 second to backtrack. My apologies. Mr. Antoine, you are going next.
All right. So on the topic of gun violence, I will increase mental health services and put violence intervention programs in place within departments such as GMPD and GCSO, as well as the commonly shared stricter background checks. With combating corruption, establishing whistleblower protections to encourage the reporting of corruption without the fear of possible retaliation, and then encourage community involvement in government processes, including public forums and advisory boards, to increase oversight and input to citizens. And then can you remind me of the third area?
The third area was wrongful shooting deaths by law enforcement officers.
So I believe with wrongful shooting deaths, and really with gun violence in general, but kind of for both, stricter punishments. People tend to learn if you, instead of slapping them on the wrist, you, for example, just give them harsher punishments. It's a way to help people rehabilitate and also to help them realize that their actions are wrong and to not do it again.
All right, thank you. Now, Mr. Raider, my apologies from earlier. Now you may now go and continue.
Fireground 6.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Radar. Hello, Mr. Ellen. Thank you for joining us.
And for our final question of the night,
Hold on,
Miss-
Ember.
oh, okay, you're not done.
No. Miss Ellen, can you hear us real quick?
I can. Sorry for joining late, guys.
All right, it's all good. Mr. Ellen, this question is from the founder. The question states, how will you go about tackling gun violence, departmental corruption, and wrongful shooting deaths by law enforcement officers?
A great question there. Currently with gun violence, I believe that's something that we can't really handle based off of department things. I believe that should be addressed with the DOJ regarding how they have open carry. I believe open carry should be minimized to just only sidearm pistols and things like that, and rifles should not be part of that. On the other hand, I do believe that departments should be able to step up in that, but I believe that we're put in a really bad spot right now with how they are able to handle stuff because of you want to say the role play standards. They're not really great currently, especially in Greenpoint because of. I mean, we all know how it works. You get pulled over, and either you get shot or you go in a pursuit. And once that pursuit's in, it's guns blazing. So I believe that should definitely be addressed. I believe I'm going to attempt to speak with the higher ups to try to get like a whitelisted civilian of some type, which would help enhance roleplay and help get those better roleplays in game. Furthermore, I think that departments, the only way we could change that is to try to get better training, more experience training, and less figuring out how to do your faces in the training center. Other than that, I think that it just needs to be tackled head on, and that we just need better roleplay and better training and less. I think we need to cut the crap and.
All right, Mr. Ellen,
Get to what
it's
we-
time. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I finished it.
All right, now to you, Mr. Emboy.
Okay, for a final scripted question of the night, Mr. Envy, starting with you, how do you plan to fund non-law enforcement emergency services for the city of Greenpoint, such as EMS and fire? How do you plan to ensure that there is adequate coverage in comparison to law enforcement? Because with law enforcement, you will have someone there within 15 seconds. The fire department, it takes 15 minutes. Mr. Envy, starting with you.
Moderator, are you referring to response times or development?
I'm referring to staffing and promoting fire departments comparatively to the law enforcement agencies.
Okay, I believe that every fire department in the community should be funded and advertised the same as law enforcement groups, but I think the people that are in charge of the fire departments are not fit enough to run those departments. I mean, GFRD is doing good, but the development side of it is just not really great right now because they don't have certain things that they need. So I'm gonna try to push with the founder and the developers to get their car spawner in. I'm gonna try to push with the developers to get FDGP and GFRD fleet updated as soon as possible. I'm also going to try to push developers to stay actually updated on them, is because like maybe they got an update a while ago, but then they don't get updated for another couple years. So I think they should be updated as frequently as law enforcement departments, because law enforcement departments are always updated every other week. So I just think they should be updated frequently.
Okay, Antron.
So, kind of going with what Envy was saying, the right people are not in the right positions. For example, over my time in the community, FDGP has just been going down and down and down since FDNY Coop originally had the department. The amount of commissioners that the department has been through, as well as the current command staff, is just lacking. GFRD, I believe, has a lot of potential. They're just lacking resources as well, kind of what Scar was saying. along with the fact that it's hard to appeal to individuals to take part in their in fire services here. So one way that we can counteract that is one, establishing good command for the department, and number two, allowing our fire departments to get more resources that would make people more interested in being part of something like that. New rigs, new uniforms, new gear, which will ultimately help them be safer as well. And that, thank you.
Ace.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. So, just from my personal view of the agencies of the fire agencies within Greenpoint, GFRD, sorry, is going well, but the development is admittedly a little bit slow. They haven't got an update in years. FGGP is not going so well because of a lack of proper command team and a poor command structure. I think that the problem would be in the mindset of the people. We are a largely law enforcement centered community with a large focus on law enforcement. It's hard to encourage others to do something that they're not interested in, such as putting a fire department into a law enforcement centered community like us. I think there needs to be greater promotion for the fire department. We need to keep up with the times. We need to make we need to make fire departments more enticing over law enforcement, and we need to shape the departments in such a way that makes it more appealing to the regular person, to the common person, enabling us to greater promote fire departments. Thank you very much.
Raider. Thank you, Raider. Ellen?
Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and touch on a few things the other candidates said. I think that we are all steering it all in the wrong direction. Yes, we definitely are not a development standpoint that is good for both fire departments. I believe that we need to learn how to work with what we have, though. You can see over and over again, GFD has been neglected. They have had plenty and plenty of chiefs and commissioners and everybody who just doesn't care about them. I think that my first order of business with them will be more than likely trying to find somebody who actually cares about the department, who believes and is very skilled in the fire department. I believe that people we've appointed in the past have been very well fit for that position and haven't really cared. They just want to try to fill that box to try to achieve something else in the community. So I want to make sure that position is filled properly to get that side of roleplay into the community. When it comes to GFRD, I think they're doing a great job. I think Miracle is leading the department well. I think he's using his resources to his advantage. I see them in game using the aviation fire department stuff, which hasn't been updated in a while. That's nothing that us as the community members can deal with. That's just a development issue, and we're going to have to wait. We've been told we're going to have to wait, and we need to work with what we have.
Okay, Ellen, and that's your time. And who said RR? Whoever said RR, you could speak. I can't see names, so.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. It's me, Ace. So I just want to highlight on what Alan said by working with development that we currently have. While I do agree that we do need to work with what we currently have, which is what Miracle has been doing with GFRD, full credits to him. But there comes a point of time where it lacks the appeal. It lacks the same appeal that DHS has when it gets a new car every week. At the past few weeks, we've had many DHS vehicles, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong. But that's why people are more interested in going to, let's say, law enforcement like DHS instead of GFRD. I believe that development has a part to play in such a matter. Thank you. Mr. Moderator.
And that's the time. Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to.
Mr. Ellen would like to rebuttal.
Who would?
Mr. Ellen.
Ellen, start yapping.
Regarding to Ace's statement there, he clearly stated in his first argument that this is a law enforcement community, which would also drive away from the fire department standpoint. So you can see why people are going from fire to the law enforcement, of course, because it's a law enforcement community. But we want to bring that opportunity to people who want to be part of the fire department stuff and want to be part of that, not just hop from position to position just to be in the community. I get you can hold a position to hold it, but I believe that we need to make the fire department for people who want to be part of the fire
And that's
department.
your time. So Alaska, I guess you want to take it from here? Alaska. Jaws, one more question. Okay. I didn't see that in the script.
All right.
Hear your roles.
This is a question for all of you. From most of your campaigns, there has been a talk of implementing a business and finance program within the city. This has been tried in the past, so what makes you think it will work? Mr. Ace, will you answer first?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Why I think my proposal of the Greenpoint Business Commission will work over others is because previously there was no predefined system in which private individuals can engage such businesses. For example, previously it was under the Department of Justice, but nobody would think that the Department of Justice would be administering business and such registration. People would think it's more on the judicial side, it's for the court cases, and etc. So instead, with a city government, this time there is a defined and very clear logical process for someone to go and apply for a business, to register a business. And this time there is a definite city authority, which will be the Greenpoint city government, who can focus entirely on administering such a commission and such a process, as opposed to the Department of Justice, who has to share its time between managing judicial matters as well as this on the side as an aim to boost more role play. So with this, it allows us as a government to focus more on this specific issue. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator.
All right, thank you. Mr. Antoine, you're next.
So, going off of the question, I believe the current businesses that we have within the server, for example, Germs Tacos, K9's Burgers, they're just not. They were more added to be monuments for those specific people, like Drips Ice Cream. There was a point, I believe, during the community where Discord servers for different businesses, jobs, etc., were actually implemented and approved by the FPS Dynamics team. So, actually implementing those special Discords and implementing stores that people can actually have certain positions in and actually be a part of and make a difference from that aspect, I think is the route we need to take, instead of just adding local businesses because you were some well-known member. Because for the first week, people did work at Germs and Orgs, but it just died because there was no real structure and there was no real people behind the initiative.
All right, thank you. Mr. Raider.
I know he's typing, but if you wouldn't mind restating the question for me so I can go ahead and have it.
All right, give me 1 second. All right, thank you. So, Mr. Allen, you said to restate the question, correct?
Yes, please.
All right. For most of your campaigns, there has been a talk of implementing a business and finance program within the city. This has been tried in the past, so what makes you think it will work this time?
All right, so I'm gonna start off. I don't believe that it has been implemented in the past properly. I believe that it was not approved when it was attempted with the DOJ. I'm not sure. I don't have all the information on that topic, but I do believe that businesses should be added. For example, like germs, taco, and all that fun stuff need to be added because of the business standpoint, and the money needs to be used as well. I think that the cash as well, and the standpoint of that would be good, especially because of that and that, of course. Um, but other than that, I think that especially for business, the community needs it because. Sorry, I'm blinking. Got people around. The cash that it
All right,
needs to be
Mr.
able
Allen, that is. Would any candidate like to rebuttal? You have 30 seconds if so.
I didn't get my.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. MV Scar. Would you like for me to restate the question or you got it down?
Yes, please say it.
All right. For most of your campaigns, there has been a talk of implementing a business and finance program within the city. This has been tried in the past. What makes you think it will work this time?
To make the business program work this time, I think we need to provide more mentorship to the business owners and resources. This could include like workshops with them, one-to-one coaching with people, who are experienced in that field. Um, Additionally, the mayor's office will engage the local business owners in the program's outline and planning to ensure that, the program is what they want and is what they like, and, they can have their input on how they want the program to be ran. The mayor's office will also ensure stronger advertising because I didn't even know about the business program until someone brought it up recently. Um, we also track progress regularly and gather feedback from the business owners to make continuous improvements. So yeah, I believe these steps will create a more successful program for Albany.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Envy. Um, would any candidate like to rebuttal? If so, you have 30 seconds.
I'll go ahead and start.
Mr. Moderator, um, so I'd like to just rebut Antoine's response by saying that I don't believe he answered the question. His answer was more focused on how to implement the program by such as having business servers, etc. But I don't believe that he said how he wants to make sure it has worked while other previous businesses or such similar programs have failed. So I'd like to request for candidate Antoine to kindly re-answer the question in his rebuttal. Thank you very much.
Mr. Antoine or any other candidate would like to rebuttal?
I believe I answered the question, so I choose not to rebuttal.
All right. Mr. Ellen, I believe before Mr. Antoine were talking, you were in the mix of getting a rebuttal off. Is that so?
Correct.
All right. You have 30 seconds.
All right, so just to talk a little bit more on it, because I fully blanked in the brain there. I think the civilian should be moved more to a whitelisted part. So the group is owned by one owner, sort of like how we have laws, OLT and all that fun stuff in the community currently. I think it needs to be moved on something like that, and something where you can join it in the game, where it's not something where it's set up and managed and held. It's just you join whenever you want to, and it can just be a career inside the game. When it comes to money, I believe that would also help reduce crime, because you would have
All
to
right,
buy
Mr. Ellen,
weapons as
at
well.
this time.
Mr. Moderator, with all due respect, I'd like to object to Alan's rebuttal, since you are not allowed to use rebuttal time to add on to your answer to the question. I'd like to object to his rebuttal, please.
All right. What's his name? I guess.
I'd like to object that objection. There were no rules clearly stating that we couldn't use rebuttal time for additions to our questions.
I'd like to object to the objection of my objection by saying that they did state the rules at the start, and it did include the fact that you're not allowed to use rebuttal time to increase your to add on to your response. You were not here for that, unfortunately.
Yes,
So,
Ellen was not here, so that wasn't clearly communicated. Therefore, it shouldn't be docked off of him.
Mr. Moderator, I respectfully request that the added portion of Alan's rebuttal, quote-unquote rebuttal, may be struck from the doc, please.
All right. This now concludes the debate portion. I said previously, Alaska's a player apologizes for not being able to join the VC. And now we will transition to the Q&A portion. There will be 5 people that can ask one question to a singular candidate. Candidate response times are limited to 30 seconds. If you would like to ask a question, you are to line up in front of the blue table. All right, Mr. Ranch, you are first. You may speak.
All right, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. My question is for Antoine. My question is how will you balance the needs of the different neighborhoods in Greenpoint, particularly those that have been underserved compared to others, such as the border town?
So that's a great question. I believe that working with the individuals of the border town help improve their infrastructure, because overall they do have a bunch of attributes that do contribute to the community. For example, diversity. They allow for places for our citizens to go. So working with them to kind of rebuild their infrastructure, allow them to get more of the opportunities we have here in the main city, I feel like is going to be our best way to approach that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Canine Operate. If you have VC, you may speak.
Thank you for the question, Mr. K9. So, for officer-involved shootings and death, what I would like to do is to work with the Department of Justice to create and maintain a citywide law enforcement training program. So, through this, I believe that law enforcement officers from around the city and country have an avenue for them to further train their proficiencies in handling such situations. Hopefully, this will reduce the number of officer-involved shootings and deaths that are wrongful. Of course, if push comes to shove, I still require them to do their duty. But I hope that through this initiative, they'll be able to reduce the effect. Reduce this effect. Thank you very much.
My question is for Mr. Antoine. Mr. Antoine, how do you? This question was asked during the debate. However, I just want you to elaborate more on your answer. How do you intend on making sure that fire departments and police departments work cohesively instead of clashing against each other like they have in the past?
So again, another great question. And just kind of speaking for Smokey, because I am only a representative. A lot of times in the past, we have tried to implement officers getting their basic life support certification through our fire departments, which time and time again has seemed to fail. So I believe we should start there, try and revamp that program and have that be the like entry level for officers and fire departments to kind of rekindle a friendship.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Elasmo. I just would like to start by prefacing that the state police is not exactly under my purview, given that it is a state agency. However, I will still answer your question regardless. To ensure that troopers ride safe, I'll work with the state police to ensure that they have they have a complete and robust program so as to train troopers to ride safely and effectively. And I also work with law enforcement to give higher priority to motorcycles and to ensure their utmost safety at all times. Thank you for your question.
So my question is for Antoine. Clearly, the candidates and most definitely you have a lot on task to handle and have a lot on their plates. How will you ensure that each one of your needs and each one of your promises that you're making tonight and throughout your campaign will be met if you are to be elected as mayor?
So once again, I am not running for mayor. I'm a city council. Running for city council. I'm just representing Smokey Laws for mayor. Smokey's a good guy. He's adequate. He knows how to get his job done. He knows what to do. He's very good at balancing his activity between all the departments he's taking on now and getting to be one of my closest friends the last 8 years or 7 years. I got to see how he works, and I believe that he's going to be able to balance everything like he currently does.
Is that your entire question? Thank you for the question. So to ensure that each department is given the proper financial aid, I will work with my city council and my city management, for example, my city manager, city attorney, etc., to enact a law, right, that will lay out the fundamentals of these problems, of these issues, and how to solve them in a lawful system. So additionally, on top of that, I will also help to with supervision, with oversight, and to ensure that they're running proficiently. Thank you very much for your question.
All right. So my question is for Ace, and the question is, why do you think your opponents are unfit for for the position, and you are?
Thank you for your question. I don't think that I think that everyone here is equally talented, and I think that everyone here will give you the quote unquote standard package, never giving you up, never letting you down, never running around or deserting you. However, I believe that I offer something that other candidates do not. I offer 100% accountability, transparency, honesty, commitment, and dedication. And I've done nothing but prove this over the past 4 years through all my positions within Greenpoint. I think I've done it before, and I'm confident I can do it again. Thank you for your question.
All right, thank you.
My question is directed towards all candidates. How can you guarantee us that you will not be sore losers if you lose this election? How will you guarantee us that you will not try to wreck the other candidates if you lose? And how will you guarantee us that you guys won't become enemies?
I don't see anyone on this stage as enemies. Ace and Antoine, I say we're somewhat friends. So I don't think I will bash them of any sort or anything. I think I would actually try to work with them and see if I can get on sort of committee to, help their office.
Thank you for your question. I think we're all mature people on this stage, and that's why we're all decided that we're a good fit to run for office. Me personally, I recognize that FPS Dynamics and the DOJ as a whole have created and will maintain a free and fair election. I have no doubts on that whatsoever. Me personally, I'll continue to support whoever wins to the best of my ability. Thank you for your question.
Coming from a Smoky Law's perspective, he's a good guy. He's a fair guy. He supports anybody that he's running against. If he doesn't get this position, he's going to keep fighting and continuing to do what he does best every day for all of us. And from my city council perspective, I'll be happy to work with any of these mayors because I know that they're all fit.
I just want to thank everybody for attending. And I hope you guys all understand what's going on. I hope we can bring change to the community. I hope we all can vote fairly. That's all I really have to. I really don't have a closing statement. I just want to thank you all for attending. Vote wisely.
I'd like to take this time to thank all of you for listening to our points of view. Regardless of who is successfully elected, it is my firm belief that the community will select someone who is mature, competent, and professional. And I hope that I've expressed my points and pledges to you in a straightforward, concise manner, and I promise to do my best to fulfill my campaign pledges if elected to office. Greenpoint as a city can be described in a single word. As for the community can be described as nothing less than loyal. The people that make up this group are some of the most loyal, dedicated, and committed people on the platform. If you want someone to not only maintain that loyalty and trust, but to raise it further and to never break it, you should vote teammates today. Together, Greenpoint, we are one. Thank you.
Thank you.